Oops. Ooh, let's go again. Whoop. Hey, how's it going, people? Okay, so I just want to talk about something that's on my mind and I've been thinking through, and I will deliver this message in my style. I'd love to know people's opinions on this subject. Um, just so that I know I'm not even that I'm crazy, that it's just I've got really nice thoughts on it, and I haven't really presented this ever to people. So this is a part of me that I will impart to you, and I'm sure you guys will be able to relate you to the title: spiritual woo-woo people that are ungrounded, low self-esteem. Which, by the way, it's me too. Versus working on yourself, your self-esteem, grounding yourself first. This is like really important, and it's super important because I have come from a place of really low self-esteem, like seriously low self-esteem. Part of the awakening journey almost is for a lot of us in the light community, in this time, is to be broken by the system and to have had enough to transform yourself. So I've had really dark thoughts, I've had suicidal thoughts, I've had real deep negativity, the likes of which most people can't fucking imagine. Maybe you guys can, but most ordinary people definitely. Suffice to say, that was enough to change me. So serious self-esteem issues like, I define self-esteem as a lack of self-love, and a deep sense of self-loathing and hatred of yourself, which manifests in hatred of other people. Um, there's many ways that I define self-esteem. One of them is a real deep sense of lack of self-love, um, due to whatever references you have in the Matrix. Um, that's one way. What was I going to say? Another way that I define low self-esteem is, you are born present to the moment somewhat as a kid, and then over time, you lose your presence. And self-esteem damage means you literally do get knocked out of the present moment a lot. And the more you get knocked out of the divine present moment, I mean, no one's really sitting in that whatever state of presence all the time. Maybe, I don't know about Eckhart Tolle and those lot, but enlightened, whatever you want to call it. But the degree to which you're knocked out of the present moment on a consistent basis is the degree to which your self-esteem has been hit. So that's cool. But yeah, what happens is, I'm going to try and say this properly in some kind of structured way, because all kinds of thoughts going through my mind, and my mind can be messy at times. It's like, I feel that the self-esteem and the lack of self-esteem, yeah, Rudy, man, yeah, definitely. Deep breathing, yeah, that's a good point. Big love to you, my friend. I feel there's a problem with the let's go back to titles. Spiritual woo-woo people that are ungrounded. We all know them. People within our communities where we can learn from, but you get a sense whether you see them online or especially in real life, but even online, whether either it's in their voice or the way they talk. Their information is good, but you can't trust them because you can feel a vibe where they're not being real and they're not grounded. And what I mean by grounded is you can tell that they don't look, they, even though their information is great and you know you can learn from them, you get the vibe off them through their voice and their mannerisms that they aren't looking at reality the way it is, because they're not looking at themselves the way that is. And it's not because they have low self-esteem, by the way. It's because you can tell that they don't see the issues with where they're at, because you can tell they're comfortable with where they're at, because they're spouting off the knowledge, which is spiritual. They know this might be kind of open. They've got all the words. They've got all the words, the spiritual words for these chakras. But the most important chakra is the root, and that comes from being grounded to reality. This is why we say root number one chakra: don't lie to yourself. Be real with who you are and your damage, your lack of self-worth. Be real with that shit, because that's the only way you're going to improve your self-esteem, your presence to the moment. The only way you can prove that is to be real with yourself. Everyone watching this knows somebody, and I get triggered by this all the time, that they're just woo-woo. And they're not in reality. You can tell by their voice, their vibration. There's something wrong. The information is great. The information coming out the mouth is brilliant, but there's no groundedness. They're not looking at reality properly. And when these people enter your life or you go and visit them, you'll get this vibe that there's something off, and they will project their traumas and their lack of ungroundedness onto you. It's a very dark experience to be around them. And this is what happens to some people. Not a lot. Happens to some people. These people are useful as examples to us of who we don't want to be. Let me explain to you about me. I'm the opposite. I've come, and this is how I know a lot of you've come from. I'm new to the spiritual community. It's breaking up a little bit. Hang on a second. I'm kind of new to it, but it's good because first of all, in order for me to change, I had to acknowledge what I wasn't. My lack of self-esteem, my lack of self-worth was severe. I had to acknowledge it, and I had to work from the root chakra, my ability to ground and look at reality and my reality as it was in order to change. I had to. I had to work on the root, my reality, who I actually was. So it's breaking up again. My weaknesses. I couldn't not do that. But I see a few people in the communities, we just get that vibe where they're not. People getting validation, experts in our community, for the words that they say and the knowledge that they know, but there's no groundedness there. And therefore, you can't trust them fully with their self-esteem issues because they don't see reality is for themselves. And when you enter into their lives or around them, you can feel the dark energies they project onto you, and then they become problematic. And you have to put a boundary and say, nope, I'm not going to get into a relationship with you, but it'll be a guy or girl you like, or even as friends. No, I can't handle being around you because your information is good, your knowledge is great, I look up to it, but I can't be around you because you're lying to yourself about who you are because you've not fixed your first chakra. You've not looking. It's simple. You just have to do. It's not simple actually. It's incredibly painful to acknowledge, and this is why I think they don't do it. It's incredibly painful to look at yourself and what's been done to you as you are, and then start a long process of change. It's incredibly painful and hard, and that's why some people in the spiritual community never do it, and they develop an ego around what they know without being grounded about the actual self work and the pain involved in acknowledging who you're not and making a real growth journey of consciousness, not overlaying your ego with things you know and getting validation from other people for what you know without actually putting in the work of being real with yourself about what you're not so that you can improve who you are. Do you see what I'm saying? The most important chakra, the most important thing is to be grounded into reality. And I think, and I know in my heart, one of my skills. By the way, guys, I have fucking weaknesses, which I'm deeply self-aware of, and they scare the shit out of me. That's why psychedelics is important. Hero doses, people, relationships, and all of the projections that are going to come out of my stuff that I'm dealing with. But one of the strengths I've got is I came into this community from a place of groundedness, and now I'm developing properly according to the chakra system, not consciously, unconsciously. That's how my life has been given. That's why I've been given the power to help others in my small sphere of influence because I've worked at it from the base up. Number one, you take care of the root chakra. Basically, you don't fucking lie to yourself and you really, no matter how painful, look at what you're not, acknowledge that you've been fucked up and you start the changes there without denial about shit. Whereas some in the spiritual community go straight to the top with the woo woo and the knowledge and the tree hugging and all that shit, which is actual truth. But there's no, you look at them and you think, but you're not being honest about who you are, about your weaknesses, about your reality. How do I know? Because they're crazy when you meet them in real life. They project and they're crazy. You can feel it in their voice, you can see it in their mannerisms. They're just crazy. It's so important to do it from the base up, whether consciously or unconsciously. Be real, be grounded, be real, be grounded. When you have deep empathy, I figured out so much stuff. My gift was this. I was always grounded, so far grounded that I didn't get the woo woo stuff. Now I was slowly changing, but I did it the correct way. I did it from the ground, from the first chakra, reality, who I was, how far I've got to go, make the changes, face your fears. Holy shit. Holy shit, man. Number one chakra, you want to work on that? Start with the way I did it. Face your fears. Consistently. All fears. Everyone has fears. That's the whole point of life, to be afraid. Jesus, work at your fears. That's a really good way to work the correct way. Your fears of self, your fears of the things you think you're afraid of, the fears of other people, the fears of coming out, the fears of expressing your truth, the fears of your weaknesses, all the shit that's been done to you. Yeah. The fear of how long it's going to take to fix yourself, whatever that means. Oh man, there's so many fears. But work at the base, like I did. And then you can see, like me, because I see a resistance in me, by the way, to the spiritual stuff. Even now, I've changed so much. I get it now. All the spiritual stuff that was woo woo to me before, but I still have a little resistance to it. But that's okay, because that's what comes last. The spiritual stuff and the resistance to the truth of the quantum, the energies, the spirits, the guides, the Akashic records, the glimpse, the quantum healing, the energies, the fact that we're not real and infinite possibility and we come back here multiple cycles and past lives. That stuff comes after. You don't go to that first. First of all, you go to the grounding. Grounding is being real with yourself, being real with your situation, being real with other people. Interacting with normal matrix people gives you great grounding. Do you know what doesn't give people great grounding? With the criticizing the people in the spiritual community, some of them that go straight to the top, and you can tell they're fucked up, and they'll never change the first, and they can't see the truth reality. Do you know what they don't do? They don't ground themselves. Another way to ground yourself, face your fears, is to go out there and deal with matrix people a lot. Go out there and deal with matrix people a lot. That will ground you, because you'll learn from them. They're your greatest teacher. The people, whatever you want to call them, NPCs if you believe in that. The people that are lost souls, whatever you want to call them, your friends and family. You want to fix the first and become grounded? Face your fears and go out and meet them. Make friends with them. Learn about them. Learn how they see life. All that shit, that will ground you. Another problem with spiritual people that don't do that. They don't interact enough with them. They stay in their own communities of woo-woo nonsense and people that won't call them out, and they trigger and project if you do try and make them change, because they won't change because they have great this, but there's nothing there. And even this is fake, by the way, with them. Interesting, isn't it? And by the way, the people that trigger me the most is those people. Why? Because there's still a piece of me like that. It's because where I started grounding. I'm still working on this. This is still hard though, seeing the reality as it is. It's still hard. I come from a place of really low fucking self-esteem. Really, really, really low. The people that trigger me the most are people with low self-esteem that don't see reality as it is. Because that's like, I was them, and there's still a piece of me that's there. I've worked so hard to remove that, really low self-esteem just like them. But then there's still a piece of me that's there. I work so hard. I try to see reality as it is, but they don't. But they still trigger me the most. I see them. I see them, and I hope for the best that they'd end up like me, but quite often they don't. So this video is definitely not for them. They won't hear the message, but it is for you guys to see if you can relate to just a little piece of a couple of sentences I say, because I'm just being real right now with my truth, and the way I express it is in a simple way. Like I said, I'm not good with spiritual words and spiritual manifestations and that kind of shit. I'm just grounded. I'm grounded more than I am spiritual, but I love the spiritual shit because it's so true. And now I'm going to expand in consciousness because I worked so hard at my first chakra. The groundedness, I'm so grounded. I'm so not in denial. Like, I worked so hard at that shit. Now my struggle is to become more spiritual, and that's the beautiful journey that involves in duality. As I grow into my spirituality with time, I really look forward to it. The best leaders and communicators that you guys look up to, they have both. They're not just spiritual and you love their knowledge. You can tell from the core of their vibration they are deeply grounded and not in denial of who they are and how far they've come and all the shit. They've worked through shadow work. They've worked through their triggers. They've been through so much, but they've done so much work, but it's from the bottom up. It's from the bottom up. It's not from straight to the top, overlay, and then not deal. If you do that, like some people, straight to the top with all the words, but deep down there's the lies at the base. You're building a foundation from nothing and it's fake. It's inauthentic. It's inauthentic. And you can feel that from people, the inauthenticity. Do you know what I think I hate the most? And you guys will be able to relate to this. It's inauthenticity. Let me tell you, people with low self-esteem, they are the most inauthentic people you'll ever meet. Doesn't mean you won't have compassion for them, but they are inauthentic. So long as they don't work on their self-esteem, they'll always be inauthentic. And you won't listen to them. They become the spiritual woo-woo people with the knowledge, but they aren't practicing what they aren't being real. It's more important to be real than to be spiritual in this world. It's more important, in my opinion, to be grounded than it is to be spiritual with an overlay and not having worked at the base and being real with yourself. Being one of those people. Grounding is so important on so many levels. Jesus. Gotta be grounded first, guys. We've got to be grounded. Yeah, Pablo, man. We've got to be grounded. We've got to take it from the hold and the base out and not lie to ourselves. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with this. I just wanted to get that off my chest really bad. I appreciate you guys for listening. Rudy, Pablo, whoever's up there. Yeah, we just got to be grounded. This message was more for me, too. Like, Jesus. I know that the people won't. It's funny. The people that You always hope for the best, but the people that I really want to get through with this never hear the message. They'll always stay the woo-woo spirituals that you just unconsciously or consciously know you can't take them seriously. Um, not information-wise, as a person, because they're just fucking lying to themselves, man. That's the key. Duality. Beautiful. Yeah, Leonardo. Alright, peace. I'll end it on 15:15. Alright, bye.